next week we're going to have songwriting classes through the school. And something I'm going to say quickly is when it gets too many people in the room, there'll be loads of sound and it'll be really, really hard to hear anything. So if you want to mute yourselves, which you can do at the bottom, and then if you want to speak, you do that.
Okay.
So if you want to make yourself known, you just make your red thing blinker. That's it. Hello there, how you doing? So I was just saying, as more people come into the room, if you want to speak, then you just have to flash your mic, like me. Oh, I should have said this when more people came in, shouldn't I? I'm going to have to keep saying it. I think that's Nicholas. Okay. Okay, guys, so I'll start. Obviously, in half an hour, what can I teach you about songwriting? I thought the main thing I'll do is just talk about how I do it personally, how I get around it. People have totally different ways of doing it. So obviously something I say could be the opposite of how you do it. This is just how I do it. So to keep things simple, I don't know that everyone might be in different abilities in their understanding of music, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to talk about the keys in numbers. So we're going to be in C major. If I write anything, it'll be in C major. And it'll be the first, the fifth, the fourth chord. The first, the fifth, and the fourth. So what that means, if there's a whole scale, you're picking the scale that's from the fifth, the one from the fourth, and the first, and it sounds like this. So we start in C, then we go to G, which is the fifth, and then the fourth. And if you listen to those, they are very familiar to you, right? And they're familiar to us for two reasons. Firstly, Mozart did it a lot. Chopin, Ed Sheeran, every single songwriter you can think of uses the 1-5-4, and that's where we're going to start from. And of course, these sound quite happy, almost too happy. It's making me feel a bit sick. It's so happy. So these are major chords, and for me, I like to play around chords first. So I'll be playing around, not really knowing what I want to even write about, and then it's how these chords make me feel. But how they feel is often how you're expressing it yourself. So at the moment, I'm being a bit clunky and a bit too... I wouldn't want my melody to be dictated by that necessarily, so I'd make it maybe a bit cooler. It still sounds a little lame, right? A bit too wholesome. And this is where we add in our minor chords. So if you think we've already talked about the first chord, the fourth chord, and the fifth chord. Hello, Natalie.
Hello again.
Hey, nice to see you. Do you mind unmuting your mic? And then if you have anything to say, you just unmute it.
Okay.
Okay. And you can do that just at the bottom of the screen where there's a little mic next to the camera, you can see.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So we got the first chord, the fifth chord, and the fourth chord. Now, to spice it up, we can add the sixth chord and it will sound sad. Or we got the second chord, which has a nice bit of flavor in there as well. So, an example of a song that uses these exact chords. I'm still in 1-5-4, I just changed the key because it's a bit early. I'm going to sing something for you. So there's a million songs. 1-5-4. You have. So let's talk through this song. That's how I'll do that. I'm sure you'll know this song. It goes. Yeah, I heard you got a new friend. One. Does he love you better than I can? 5. And now we're going to go sad. So you can guess what chord it is. It's the A minor. It's the sixth chord. Suddenly it sounds so sad. Yeah, I know it's stupid. That's the fifth. And I just gotta see it for myself. That's the fourth. And then, nice and simple, we just go back to the first. And it really feels like the first because it feels like we're going home. For myself, there. And I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, oh. We're just repeating those chords again. 1, 5, 4. And then there's a slight pickup at the end. And I'm giving it my all. A bit high for me. But that's an A minor again. That's all that's happened. Going back to that A minor. So we've just been playing around the first, the fifth, the fourth, and then we want to make it sad. We add a minor chord, and we have that sad chord comes in. So let me pick some other chords. Let's say I'm going, if I sat there on the piano, some of you might be real lyricists, so you might have pages and pages of lyrics before you even get started. That's not me at all. I've got loads of melodies in my head. And like nothing to do with them. So for me, it's a process of going, like I'll pick 2 chords I like. Let's say I start in A minor, and then I go to F. Just those 2 chords. And if I was to start and go, it might be a bit too busy. Now, I like the feeling of that. I do. There's something about that that feels quite emotive. Moving down, all I'm doing is 2 chords, A minor and an F. But that F to me feels like something. I'm not quite sure yet. And also, at the moment, if I'm really playing heavy, that can get in the way of my singing. So it's like, okay, I've got those chords. I like them, but I don't want that to get in the way of now me coming up with a melody. So I'm going to simplify it massively. Okay, so I'll have a go at singing anything. I would just go, my first process would be something fairly generic. I'll go with that. I wasn't looking and noted to do when you're falling through. Obviously, I've got no words yet. I know you come when you're falling down. It's sad when you know it's true. So that's just the same thing, like repeated twice. And then I have to ask myself, the biggest challenge is, what I would do is, I come up with a couple of melodies. I'd go make a coffee. You know, I'd forget about some things for a minute. And then if I find myself singing that melody, if I find myself in the kitchen going, I never knew that you thought in me, then I'm like, if I remember it, someone else out there will remember it. I don't have a particularly good memory. But if I can remember this song that I've just done, then hey, it must be good. Funny enough, I've already forgotten the thing that I did. So it's already telling me maybe it was okay, but not particularly memorable. What I'm really trying to find is the hook. I'm sure some of you might have come across a hook before. A hook is quite literally, if you think a singer's got a big fishing rod and he's throwing a hook out and he's trying to catch your ear, that's literally it. A hook is just something that grabs your ear. And it's always going to live in that really simple place. You know, Mozart or Beethoven, they wrote some incredibly hooky material that's, you know, going to survive for thousands of years. And it's incredibly simple. Some composers who are much more complex, not complex, I'd say, but less hooky and more complicated, like Liszt, maybe. Their music's incredible, but I don't find myself humming it when I go down the street because I can't remember it. but it's amazing. So as songwriters, you've got to ask yourself, okay, I want people to remember what I've done. That's the first thing. So I don't done, so I'll have another go. Okay, so I've come up with a little hook, and it literally, to me, it feels like a hook. I go, I've known you all mine. You said it like a blind. This isn't great, but at least it's got a hook. It's the I had you were mine. Okay, so, and then this chord, you get a feeling that it's going somewhere, it's leading somewhere. So if I'm going, you find me, that's probably better if I do that. I know you can find me. You tried, but you just find me. And then it's going somewhere, right? It's like, I can't just go that again. What if I go, tell me you love, tell me you love. It feels like a pre. And then this is the bit where it has to explode. It feels like it's gonna take off. So finding the hook for the chorus is going to be like the hardest part. For me personally, I find like writing verses is just something that I can just keep doing and keep doing and keep doing. Just like we can all come up with easy rhymes, but coming up with that one rhyme which is particularly nice or particularly impressive, that's the equivalent to finding the chorus. And sometimes we want to have 4 words in the chorus and somehow have those 4 words convey the main feeling of the song. I'm not the greatest lyricist by a long stretch. I'd say most of the songs I've written have been my own lyrics. A lot of time I will collaborate and work with other people and get their lyrics. And it's often unfair. They'll have written lyrics that have taken them months to write. But often when you're just writing a song and you've got the right lyrics, it can be an easier task for some. So I'm here again. This is the verse. Can I remember that idea? I know I can find love. It's trying to make me my love. Oh, where to find me. Oh, where to find me to say again. Maybe that could be a verse as a whole verse, and you could do another verse again before the chorus. Now, because we're in a minor key, that could mean that the chorus actually doesn't start in a minor key. You start in a major key, so that it has that feeling of wholesomeness. So the chorus. So obviously we've got verse, and then we go into a pre, which is the bit that feels like it's leading up to the chorus, and then you've got the big slam chorus. I can't hear one in my head right now. If anyone has any ideas, all you have to do is do your mic, and if you want to contribute anything at all, if it's a melody idea or anything, there's nothing that you could do wrong at all. Often when I'm writing with someone, they might have a melody idea which isn't good, or I might have a melody idea which isn't good at all. It like doesn't work. But the idea that I put forward, the person I'm writing with, they can hear that it's not right as well, but they'll go, but what about this? Or but what about this? If I'm writing, it doesn't matter who I'm writing with. If I'm writing with a 10-year-old, I find that's easier for me, just to bounce something off. And you know, you don't need a lot of someone. We all know what a good song sounds like, all of us, because we listen to good songs all the time, and most of the time we all agree as well on what good songs are. So don't ever think that as a songwriter you have to come up with some whole new paradigm for music and create the greatest thing ever, because that's a lot of songwriters, they just try too hard. But simple is everything. And I think I'm going to give you a demonstration of a song which literally in its song it talks about its own progression, which is Hallelujah, a really, really well-known song. When I've been talking about the fifth and the fourth and the minors coming in, a perfect example of that would be Hallelujah. And again, I'm in C, and those intonations, that's just between C and A minor. But the clever part of the song is that pre-chorus slash chorus, where, so I've heard there was a secret chord David played and he pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? And it's in this bit. It's in this bit. Well, it goes like this. I'm on the first now. Then I go to the fourth and I sing it. It goes like this, the fourth. So from C, that's to the F, and then I go to the fifth. It goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, and then the minor fall, which is exactly the sixth chord, the minor fall and the major lift. So I've gone the first, it doesn't matter what key you're in, you could be in D, you could be in G, you could be in F flat, F sharp major, it doesn't matter, as long as you're going the first, the fourth of that chord, the fifth, and then the minor six, which is the minor fall, and back to the major. It's always going to be the same. Well, it goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. And then I'm just going in between two chords again. It couldn't be simpler. And I'd say, for me, this bit of the chorus, we can call it a tag. Instead of just saying the whole thing as a chorus, we can call it a tag. Specifically because hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. It can just go round and round. It's a bit of the song at the end. If you were, at a stadium gig, you can imagine the bit of the song that you're going to get everyone to sing along to. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You can just do that for hours and people will be entertained. They'll do that for us. And that's why we call it a tag. A bit of the chorus, some choruses are right to beat again, but having that part in the song where you do have that is essential. Let's think of like another classic song. You've got hey, don't make it bad. Take a sad. I don't know. I can't actually remember the chords for this song. I'm sure it's the first, the fifth, and the fourth though. But of course, on that song, the bit that everyone wants to sing along to isn't necessarily the chorus, and you wouldn't call it a chorus. It's the tag. It's the na 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 na. Hey Jude. Now you think about it, it's so simple. This piece of music is so simple that when you hear it for the first time, you don't even feel like anyone wrote it. It's like discovering the word the. It just feels like it's always been there. Na, 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 na. Almost just like waiting to be discovered. And in a sense it is, because songwriting, at its purest is mathematical, especially when we're talking about going from the first to the fifth, to the fifth and to the fourth. And what we're really talking about, we're talking about frequencies, aren't we? We're talking about, wavelength. 5 and 4. I'm a massive, I'm quite a nerd. I do like my maths. So for me, seeing the mathematics in music really is meaningful to me, because it's so simple. It's so simple, and we respond to it so well as people, as listeners. So simple is always best. So many songwriters, they overcomplicate it so much. If you were to go to a songwriting class for loads of kids who are taking their first year of uni, often the kids are making everything way too complicated. I've sat on a panel before for They were showing all their first year work, and some really good writers, but the biggest problem that you see is people overcomplicate it so much, almost like in a competitive way. I guess some people think if it's more complicated, it must be better, but it's just absolutely not true. And I'm sure that resonates with all of you when you think of your favorite songs. It's often a melody that you just think it's always been there. So in this last 10 minutes, we're just going to write something together. And if anyone can contribute anything, that'd be great. I know, like, we only got half an hour, and sharing something you've written with people is very difficult, because it's like bearing yourself, isn't it? It's like going to a bunch of strangers and being like, this is how I feel about the world. What do you think? And that's quite a scary thing to do. I remember the first songwriting session I ever went into with professional writers, and I remember like barely contributing anything. It was like very terrifying. It felt like I was like a life model in an art class. It feels like that, because you're just like, here I am. So that's quite scary. Okay, so let's pick a really simple. I'm going to pick F, A minor, G. Now, in order to save time, I'm going to simplify it, because I could easily go. And then how am I going to find melodies? It's a bit harder. That actually worked. That time it worked. It wasn't too bad. But I just kept it simple. Now if I go, it's exactly the same chords. It's even the same timing, but the whole feeling of it has changed. It suddenly feels like a, you know, it's going to be like an R&B Michael Jackson thing. So exact same chords, but like a different feeling. And when I play them differently, I literally get different images in my head of what it could be. And I think music is so imagery, right? When we listen to different things, it definitely gives us different images, at least for me. Now, if you just keep the same chords and just change the texture of the music, suddenly you see something else and you feel something else. So if you're stuck with some song, if you've got 3 chords and you're like, I know these are the best 3 chords I could possibly use, I know it's going to be a hit song, you go, okay, well, I'll just do it differently. And every time that you do it differently, you're just growing. You're just expanding on what you've already done, because you might have done your first 3 melodies like this. I can't find my love. Ooh, that was bad. So I just like play around and go, oh, I don't like that. I like that one bit. I'll keep that. Oh, let's go back to. How will I interpret it now? I would probably change it like, I get you stuck in the air. I know you are there, and then I made a mistake, and then you got me. But I know this is gonna like, and the way suddenly I'm going ba 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 ba, and I probably wouldn't have felt that if I wasn't going. It's the other, so that dictated what I did. I simplified it, and the way I'm playing makes me change how I'm singing it. And often, if I'm really stuck, I will record it on my phone, like record any little idea I've got. Hopefully it'll be good, much better than that. And then I go for a walk, I go for a run, I sit in the park and I just listen to it. And I'll come up with 4 or 5 different ideas. And then it's again of walking around the park and just going, okay, well, I've got a little idea. It's just a matter of time now. I just have to stick with it. that's often the really hard bit as well. Is I just have to stick with it and finish it. And no matter what, I could say to myself, no matter what, at the end of the 2 hours, I have to have a finished song. I have to, and then I can move on to the next one. So I'll be walking around, I have these ideas, and then I go home and I go, okay, which ones worked, which ones didn't. And by the way, does anyone have any questions? As we are in the last 5 minutes, it goes so quickly. If anyone has any questions, just unmute yourself, basically. That's all you need to do. And of course, when we do songwriting classes, they'd be quite different to this, in that this is just sort of a very quick demonstration of what we might do, and an idea of what I'm like as well, to meet me and see what I might be like to do some writing with. But if anyone does have any questions, then, and now absolutely is your time to ask. So I'm going to go back to C major. And I'm going to go back to that 1-5-4, but I might change it up. I might do 1-4, 1-4. Okay, so that's the chord progression everyone's heard before, right? I did 1-4-6-5. So, and you see, like with the other songs I did, I never played a chord which was outside of 1-5-4 or 6. They were always that. 1-4-6. I can't let you was over. I'll never let you get over. Nothing I'm doing is sounding remotely original, and that's because nothing is, hardly. But that works, and it just works, and it only works because I'm just picking the chords which are always going to help me. I don't have to spend hours trying to find the chords when I know 1-5-4, 1-4-6-5, 1-5-6-4. Any combination of it works, as long as you start on 1 and finish on 1 normally. You can end on a 5, but when you end on a 5, the song doesn't feel finished. It's like you need that to like end it with. So yeah, guys, I think that's probably the most I can show you in this short half an hour. I hope you guys found that interesting. It's certainly interesting for me teaching like this. Most of the songwriting I've done in groups, we work in a very you know, we all do creative writing, and that gives us the lyrical content, and then we spend the rest of the time banging out melodies. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Olly. Thanks for the very inspiring class, as always. Thanks, guys, for participating. Your half an hour flies. So yeah, it will be much appreciated if you can take a screenshot and tag us as the London School of Music. So at the London School of Music, and then hashtag LSM Online. That will be very much appreciated. And we have next week Saturday morning a songwriting class with Olly, a more extensive one. So we're going to send you some more info about that, and hopefully you join Olly next Saturday again. Okay.
That'd be
Thank
great.
you very much again for participating. Thank you very much, Olly, for the great class.
That was a lot of fun.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Have a lovely day.